On the bright side, even if he could have voted, it wouldn't have mattered in California. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. There's choice but going to manage to get it on. Fitzdog in studio where he belongs. He's got dates coming up. Also, very funny stand-up special. You know me. I watched it in its entirety. It's on YouTube as we speak. It's free. It's 46 minutes or 44? It's not
51.
Oh, 51. Damn. Yeah. It's not a full hour. It goes by fast, and it's very good. Also, live dates coming up in Tacoma, Washington. That'll be November 14th through the 16th at the Tacoma Comedy Club. Tempe, Arizona Improv coming up November 22nd through 24th. And Punchline, San Fran, coming up December 5th through the 7th. Good to see you, Fitzdog.
Adam, I come to you. Well, first of all, I'm a little excited. My agent is supposed to come in today. Mm-hmm. He's Lebanese. I paged him about an hour ago, but I haven't heard anything, and so I'm just hoping. He makes it in
with the page.
Yeah, maybe his page is blowing up. I don't know, but
what a time we're living in.
Can you imagine? Has in the history, you got to go back to the Trojan horse to a better scheme in the military. And I'm not taking sides. Look, I got no skin in that game over there.
Right.
Who's who. My hate doesn't really reach that far. I don't hate anything. I got enough hate for people here. Hate local. That's my thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Support local hate.
Support local.
Yeah. Yeah. Organically, locally sourced hate.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I know. I got the 405. I go from here to Malibu every day. I got enough hate.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to drive to Lebanon.
No, they can hate themselves, and but really, when you think about it, like the planning, if you had written that into a script, the studio would have been like, nah, even Jason Bourne, this wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting that it is, I think, a kind of a fantasy / slight obsession of all young boys because it started with James Bond.
Yeah.
He had a car and he pushed a button and an oil slick came out and then the ejector seat, which I would use twice a week.
Oh, easily.
Also,
ski poles that were rifles.
Yes, like all the,
condoms filled with poison.
A Lotus that, who's that, Drake? No, No, he had a Lotus that turned into a submarine.
Yeah.
It's also a kind of a thing where you have to really realize, like if they said, hey, Fitzdog, we've outfitted your car so that you can drive off the pier. You'd go, thanks, but I don't think there's a high likelihood of me driving off of the pier. And they go, well, you never know.
Yeah.
And then at some point in the middle of Act 2, you go, oh, I'm so glad this car has torpedoes and a periscope because I am being chased off a pier at this point. It maybe became one of those self-fulfilling prophecies.
Well, there's an old adage started in playwriting, which is if you put a gun under the couch, somebody's got to shoot the gun.
Right. So it would be a ballsy move to do 20 minutes on outfitting a car to be a submarine and just have him driving through Arizona the entire movie and never coming close to a body of water.
Well, it's pretty similar to people driving Humvees in Los Angeles when they never go over 32 miles an hour and they never leave asphalt.
I know. I see Humvees and the Cybertruck everywhere, but in traffic on the 101 as we creep along at 9 miles an hour, and you've got 10,000 pounds worth of fully electric Humvee, and it's just creeping along. And it's also kind of funny when you see like a fully loaded Porsche turbo, stickers 285 on it. And then there's a Lamborghini Aventador sticker 445 on it. And then there's a busted up Toyota Camry with a couple of Mexicans in it and the windows down because there's no air. And it's moving They're moving at the exact same
No
clip.
one's winning that race.
When the guy bought the Aventador Lambo, it was explained to him that at a top speed of 212 miles an hour and 0 to 60 and 2.7 seconds. But there they are with the sun-faded Camry, all just creeping to the same coffin.
Right. And that Lambo, not a comfortable ride. If you're just sitting in traffic and you're changing gears every 14 seconds as you just creep right out of first gear into second, and then you got to come back.
Maybe it's intended. You only buy that car to be seen in that car, not to drive the Hummer and go off-roading, and not to take the Lambo down to the track. You only drive it to be seen, and I guess the argument is you shall be seen going 9 miles an hour for the next 14 off-ramps. Like, everyone's going to get a look at you. You're not moving.
Right. And then they get dark tinted windows in their Ferrari, and you go like, you literally are driving this to be seen, and now I can't see you.
Yes. Now, your Mustang.
Oh, Jesus.
There's
Why
a
did you have to bring it up?
Well, because you were walking on sunshine last time I saw you, because you'd finally squeezed the trigger on an American muscle car.
After driving a Prius for 13 years.
Right. And in general, just a fun car. You said, you know what? You basically did the same thing I did with the $10,000 Japanese sex robot. You know what? I work so hard. All I do is take care of people around me, and now it's time for me to reward myself.
Did you get the robot?
I'm designing it. You put your own features. There's accents and dialects.
It's just weird that all the features are Asian. Ironically made in Korea. And
no, my joke that I occasionally do is I would buy the robot because they're now 6 foot and blonde and they work. You know what I mean? But when we were growing up, you could stash porn.
Yeah.
In the woods, between the mattress and the box spring. Like you could stash porn. Where are you going to stash a 6 foot robot?
Right.
So my angle was the robot would have to perform other functions so you had plausible deniability.
And also it's a cross-dressing sex doll so that when it's doing the errands, it's your manservant.
Yes.
It's got a tuxedo on, a mustache.
Yeah.
And then at night,
or mowing the lawn, maybe in the flannels and the jeans, and then at night. Yeah,
that's my guy. That's just my guy.
Yeah, it's my guy.
He's got a secret. You don't need to know what it is.
Yeah, and that's not semen on his forehead.
No.
No,
that's shaving cream.
Well, robots sweat. They don't sweat like we sweat. Didn't you see Alien? All right, so the Mustang.
All right, so I get the Mustang. I've got it for a month and a half. I'm taking it. I'm literally the guy that takes a car for a drive. Like in the 1950s, Dad would take you out for a drive.
Yeah, now that you've rewarded yourself with the Mustang.
I'm going up into Mulholland Drive and I'm screaming through the hills, and I just even when my wife runs out of butter, I'll go to the store.
Yeah.
So I'm driving down to Orange County. I had a gig on a Thursday night in Orange County, and I'm driving down Lincoln Boulevard, which is 3 lanes in either direction. And it's Marina del Rey, so it is packed. It's before you get on the 90. And going down the right lane, and I guess the left lane and center lane had stopped and created a gap, and a guy from the other direction made a left and cut in front of them, and then came right into the right lane without looking, and slammed into my car, crushed my whole car. So it doesn't drive. I barely get it off the side of the road. He pulls over, and I get out of the car, and it was decades of me feeling like I didn't deserve it. That's why I didn't get the car, Adam. I'm ashamed to say I thought like I don't deserve good things mentality.
Yes.
And so he hit me, and I got out and I started screaming, fuck! My voice was sore for a week. Fuck! I go. I never thought I deserved a good car. I said I was driving a Prius, and I finally did it. And then I go, I'm sorry. And the guy couldn't have been cooler. He was like, dude, my fault 100%, and everything's been cool with the insurance, but...
Is the car totaled?
Not total, but it's going to take about 5 weeks to fix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do wonder sometimes. I will tell a story I have told before, but it has been years since I've told this story. And I'm curious what your take is on this story, because that feeling of you're not supposed to have this.
Yeah.
You know, this is for others. You know, I'm a Fitzsimmons. We don't do this, you know, or whatever. I had the very same story, but with automobile air conditioning. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. I grew up with parents and grandparents that never owned an automobile with air conditioning.
Yeah.
So everyone, no one bought a new car. And if they ever did, my dad bought a new Volkswagen Rabbit once, but stripped down, you know, like vinyl, everything, and a 4-speed and no air, you know.
Yeah.
And so I never had a car with air in my family. And we had a bad situation in that we never had a carport or a garage. It was just parked out in the driveway all the time, just baking. And I was always sensitive. I got real hot. I was like a head sweater. You know, I was just uncomfortable with heat. And then I moved out, and the first vehicle I bought was a Mazda pickup truck, like a 79 long bed crew cab, regular cab, no air. And I drove trucks because I work construction. And I never bought a new truck because I couldn't afford a new truck. And I didn't have credit or anything. So I bought used old Japanese Datsun trucks and stuff. And none of them had air. Right. And then at some point I graduated to an Isuzu Trooper.
Oh, there you go.
But it didn't have air in it. It was, because it was like an 82, whatever. And then at some point, as I started to get halfway into show business. Now, not show business, but no longer swinging a hammer for a living, doing radio bits for $50 a bit and syndicated stuff, whatever, $75 here, whatever. Yeah. But I was actually making a living in a field that didn't involve me packing my tools in and stuff. I bought a super old beat to shit Toyota Supra and the air didn't work.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was like in Gone with the Wind at the end, where I was like, I need air. I must experience driving. Now, at this point, I'm 30, maybe 30 and a half, 31. And I'm
doing radio full time at this point?
I'm doing Kevin and Bean, contributing to Jimmy and Kevin and Bean and K-Rock. And I'm getting $50 a bit, but then I'm also taking my bits to the syndicated radio place where you would record them and they would distribute them to other morning shows, which they did a lot of, which you didn't know. It's their little secret, So they'd come on and they'd be in Muncie, Indiana going, hey, Mr. Burcham's on again because it's Tuesday. How you doing, Mr. Burcham? Thanks for having me. And they thought...
So it was a contained bit where you weren't going back and forth.
Recorded bit.
But they pretended like you were there.
They would do it when Byron Allen does one of those interviews with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. So I heard you have I heard the cactuses are in bloom right
now. And they show a tie to him and then back. There's a way. No, they didn't do it in a way where they pretended to interact with me. They just pretended I was exclusive to their morning show. Yeah. And they'd go, Mr. Burcham's back. It's Tuesday. What do you have to say, Mr. Burcham? And then I'd do the bit pre-recorded. And then they'd go, another good one, Mr. Burcham. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday. And then they'd hang up, or whatever. I don't know how they did it because I wasn't there. But every once in a while, I would run into somebody. And everyone did it. I think Jimmy did the sports guy. It was a way. So because once in a while I'd run into somebody and they'd go, "Oh yeah, I used to listen to the Bircham thing," and I'd be like, "Where? Oh, I grew up in Idaho," you know, and I'd go, well, I didn't do them, and our morning show had Mr. Bircham. We used to do Dingo Boys, which is a thing that me and Jimmy produced this thing called Dingo Boy. I think they did Bircham. They did maybe Jimmy the Sports Guy. And you'd go in, you'd lay out like 5 of them or something. But you got $75 a bit. Yeah. And it only took you an hour. And
no residual. So they could be sending to 100 places and you're not getting any more money.
But for a guy who was making $15 an hour swinging a hammer, that was some good cash. Yeah. So I announced I was going to have air conditioning. Like I was not going to be denied, and I would like be the first Carolla with air conditioning. And I'm working in the San Fernando Valley. I'm living in North Hollywood. I'm living in La Crescenta. I mean, it is hot dog days or whatever, and I'm sweating it out in this car. And so because I'm still have a poor person mentality, I go, I'm going to fix this air myself. Yeah. But the air conditioning is the most complicated thing on the car because it has a whole closed system. So I find a place in Van Nuys. They sell a receiver dryer. The other one sells a pump, an air conditioning pump. I buy everything. Spend an entire like white trash weekend in the driveway, you know, underneath the thing. Put the whole thing together. Go up the hill, pay someone $40 to charge it with Freon because you have to charge it. Yeah. Charge it with Freon, get in the car, push that blue button with the icicles on it, and like trying to do, I think it's heating, I think it's cooling. Nothing. Got nothing. Go back, take the thing apart. Turns out the receiver dryer they sold me was malfunctioning. Get a new one, exchange it, go back, spend another Saturday, do the thing, go back up the hill and charge. Every time you open the system, you have to recharge it for $40 with Freon, recharge it again with Freon, go back up, nothing. Cannot get the fucking thing working. I'm going nuts. And I realize, I go, look, fuck it, you're making money now. You want air conditioning. You need air conditioning. I'm going to go to the place that just does air conditioning repair in automobiles, and I'm going to take it there and I'm going to drop it off, and I'm going to say, I'm not picking this car up until there's cold air blowing through that. And that's all you guys do. And the guy goes, yeah, we'll take care of it. And I remember Jimmy dropped me off like after Kevin and Bean followed me. Yeah. And I drop the car off and then pick me up. You know, remember you used to follow people around like before Uber? Right. I'd always get pissed off because whoever I told to follow me never really followed me, and then the light would go red, and then I'd have to pull over, and then people would honk, and I'd be like, "What part of follow me don't we really?" He drops me off. Jimmy and I go out to lunch. I go back to my apartment. They're like, pick it up at 5 o'clock. It'll be ready to go. I get a ride back at 5 o'clock. I come walking in. I go, air conditioning in the Supra? And they go, oh, yeah, we've been trying to call you. Never good. Back before the cell phone. Yeah, when you dropped it off, you took the keys. So we haven't touched it. No. And when it was in our parking lot, somebody hit it. Which was like, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, can I just leave it here and work? No, we can't leave it here overnight. Like, yeah, take it, but bring it back the next day. Go bring it back. I think Jimmy drove me again. Brings it back. My dad actually takes me back that night to pick it up. And I walk in. And I go, is it working now? And the guy goes, yep, works perfect. Get in the car, turn the air on. And I turn the air on, and I'm riding all the way home with the air blowing. But I'm having an eerie harbinger feeling. I'm like, this wasn't supposed to be. I literally burned 1,000 man hours and $1,000, and I forced air into this car. It was rejecting it. Yeah, it was like a liver that the body was rejecting the whole time. But I forced it, and I said to my dad, who's a little bit cosmic. I mean, not hurdy-gurdy man, but I just went, I'm not into the Great Magnet, but this is not going to work. It's just not gonna. It just wasn't meant to be. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's not gonna be good. And like 3 days later, I parked the car in front of my apartment in Toluca Lake. I had the screen door shut. I had the door open. I was just getting some air, and I was looking at it. I was on the phone with Jimmy. It was in New York. And a drunk driver in a full-size Ford pickup hit it so hard that the pickup turned right, hopped the curb, and the guy was facing me at the balcony in the Ford. He went right instead of careening off in the street. He hit the thing so hard that my car popped off the curb and dragged out to the middle of the street, just caromed off, and he popped and was facing me. And I was like on the phone with Jimmy, and Jimmy goes, "What was that?" Like there's glass shattering in metal crunching. I go, "That was my car being destroyed." And he goes, "Seriously, what was that?" I go, "That was my car being destroyed." And he goes, I'll call you back or something. I hung up, and the guy pulled his truck out and took off with two flat front tires and whatever. Car was totaled.
Did you get his insurance or he fled?
He fled.
On 2 flat tires?
Yeah, like sparks coming out, like just down. He was loaded.
Yeah.
And abandoned his truck 2 blocks away and took it on foot. And then eventually they tracked him down.
Yeah.
And he didn't have insurance or anything.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I knew this car was going to be... I've never had a car destroyed or totaled. I've never been in an accident. But I knew this car was going to... This car was sitting there and completely totaled. Yeah. Damn. So
that's amazing.
Maybe the Mustang wasn't meant to be. I don't know. You got to think about it cosmically.
Well, I think I have to realign. Like the worst thing is you buy a Mustang, and you did this to me. I don't know if you remember this, but I said I finally got the Mustang, and you went, "Did you get the V8?" And I just crumbled. I was just like, but I got the Mustang, and I didn't feel like I deserved the V8. I didn't.
You're right.
And it wasn't a 2025. It was 2023.
Yeah, you got the V6 Ecotech or whatever it is with the twin turbos
Still
on
fast.
it. It is.
Fast.
It makes good power.
Yeah.
No judgment
it's a
here.
305 or something.
Cubic inches?
Yeah.
I do not think the V6 is a 305 cubic inches. It's probably a 3-liter.
No, I think it's a 305.
Well, 305 would be a V8.
Guys, can you check on that?
If 305 is the cubic inch, it'd be a small block V8.
Okay.
But it would nonetheless be a V8.
Yeah.
But be all that as it may, the car's getting fixed.
Guy took full responsibility. They rented me a big AMC truck, which I got to tell you something. I've never driven a big SUV before. It's fucking nice.
I know.
You sit up so high. I never feel like there's a blind side.
Yes.
I see everything, and it floats, and the braking, there's no grabbing with the braking because it's so heavy that it just naturally slows down when you hit the brake.
I agree. I got used to driving SUV as well. All right, we'll see if we can find the 305 Mustang engine option, I'm not a Mustang expert, but that feels like a V8.
Yeah.
To me. Now, I feel there's a V8 and then there's a V6, but the V6 is going to be maybe a 3.5 liter or 3 liter or something like that. But there's a difference between liters and cubic inches. The 2023 Ford Mustang does have a 305 V6 engine. Okay. So it is the V6 and a 305, which is a big V6.
Yeah.
That is a big because there's 60 cubic inches per liter. So that is a big ass V6. So
really
you're right, and I owe you an apology.
Well, listen, I don't know a lot about cars, but that one stuck in my head like, Jesus Christ, that's big. And when you get on the highway, you really don't notice that you're going 100 miles an hour. Wait
a minute. Hold on.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry. The 23 Ford Mustang does not have a 305 V6.
What is it, the 2024 does?
Well, there is. You say EcoBoost V8. That sounds confusing to me, too. I thought it was a V8 or an EcoBoost 6.
Yeah.
That's what I think. We're scrubbing the internet, but
It does. It does guzzle gas, though. Jesus.
Turbo. Listen, you can get 1,000 horsepower out of a 2-liter, which is 120 cubic inches. 120 cubic inches, 2-liter. You can get 1,000 horsepower out of it if you turbocharge it. And wind it up.
Fuel injected.
Everything. I mean, you won't be able to drive it on the street. But what I'm saying is I have a Porsche race car that's got a 3.2 liter flat six, small twin turbo. They get 750 horsepower out of it. That's turned way, way up. All right. So now the EcoBoost is the direct injected turbo for i4, so that's a straightforward, right? But that's the EcoBoost, not the
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well.
Anyway, it's gone. It's coming back. Let's not live in the past. Let me ask you this, Fitzdog.
Anything.
I was watching the NFL yesterday. They're playing games internationally now.
Yeah,
They're
the Giants
traveling.
played over in London.
They played in London. They had a game in Germany last on Sunday. The NFL has their end zone sayings. And their end zone sayings are, better together, stuff nonsensical, who knows, names of books that you'll never read. But one of them is end racism, which I always argue with because, first off, the only people that ever see that are black people. There's not a lot of, maybe Kelsey. There's not a lot of white dudes in the end zone over there. But it also makes you think like there's probably a big issue. Like if I came to this country and I turned on the NFL game and it said end racism in the end zone, I'd go, well, evidently there's a pretty big problem.
Yeah.
But now we're international. So now we're in Germany. So now Germany has to write end racism in their end zone, and they have a history.
Germany does?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is do they get a vote? Like I know it's the NFL.
Yeah.
It's their thing, but now you're in our country. You see? Do they get to go, how about just better together in each one?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of, a lot of people in the stands have folks that fled to Brazil in their family. And, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we want to drum this up?
Well, maybe you pick specific things for each country. Like if you're in Germany, hey guys, slow it down in October.
Yeah.
Something that can, maybe there's an issue in October in Germany they need to deal with a little bit.
Yeah. I agree. Like custom make them to the country, but because we're exporting football, but now we're also exporting our sayings, our messages.
Yes.
And, and they do the German flag and the American flag, like they do all that stuff.
Like in Canada, I don't know that there's racism because there aren't really races.
Right. Well,
you need an ism to have an ES.
They get a little picky over French, I think, and
the Quebec thing.
Yeah, they get a little persnickety about that.
I think they did more damage to the indigenous population than America even did.
Yeah.
They keep apologizing for that.
The other sign I saw...
I think their end zone just says, oops.
Oops. The other thing I saw that I thought was funny, and it was insane, which is I was at an event on Saturday, and I'm obsessed with the freeway signs because I look at it as a tremendous waste of time and money because the electronic freeway signs could say, use your signal... But I also don't, it wouldn't have to pertain to something with your car. It could say, stop blaming your parents or, floss or something. It could say anything that would be helpful to the billions of people, but just says click it or ticket or slow for the cone zone, which I'm like, everyone's got their seatbelt on or doesn't. But it's a waste. It's a waste. The new one they have on the 405, you're going to see it when you go home today, is feeling tired, pull over and nap. Now, it goes like statewide, but I'm seeing this in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the 405 going through Westwood at 3 p.m. Is there going to be any pulling over and nap? What percentage at 2:45 in the afternoon on a Thursday of people stuck in traffic on this stretch of the 405 who are traveling between, you're right parallel with UCLA and the Veterans Administration.
Yeah.
Basically, coming up on Wilshire. How many folks are going to heed this warning to pull over? And then where would one pull over? Because I feel like you'll get arrested or rolled or shot.
Yeah, I think it's Italians. They eat pasta at lunch, and then they're driving back to their jobs.
Carb load.
Yes, they carb load, and now they're driving back to the double wide that they run their construction company out of in Van Nuys.
Yeah.
And they get a little groggy.
And they should pull over.
Yes.
Maybe just say, Paisan, pull over.
Hey,
I'm just saying, what information...
well, let me
I'm
tell
on
you,
the
my
405
friend
with millions of people and millions of eyeballs crawling on it with nothing to do but look up and read this sign.
Yeah.
There could be something... Get a prostate. Men over 50.
Yeah.
Prostate exam today.
I work with a guy, Pat House, who opens for me on the road sometimes. Very funny comic from Philly. And one of his jokes is that he saw one of those signs and it said, reduce childhood abuse.
Right.
Not
eliminated.
Not eliminated.
Don't shoot for the stars.
I mean,
Just
there's
bring it
some
down.
shitty kids out there.
Yeah. There's people that need to learn valuable lessons. Reduce. I am in love with that. I'm in love. I used to do a bit on end senior abuse, as if you being behind a municipal truck would somehow discourage you from doing this.
Yeah.
I would argue, first off, if that's your thing, like beating up the elderly.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like the bumper sticker. It's like rapist, knock it off. I just don't feel like there's enough there.
Maybe end elderly abuse should be T-shirts, and you give them to people in old folks' homes.
Yes, so I can see my victim.
Right, because some of these Jamaican women, they get a little riled up. After 15 bedpans an hour, they're...
I agree, and not only that, but I argue that the end senior abuse license, bumper sticker reminds more people to beat the elderly. Don't you think? It certainly is not going to discourage anybody from doing it.
Yeah, you say, I haven't seen Grandpa in a while, and you swing by, and
you turn,
he doesn't remember you. Yeah.
To the moon.
To the moon, Grandpa.
Yeah, so I don't think any of these things have, but end racism doesn't end. It's impossible and inconceivable that this could have any effect on any of us.
Yeah.
Ever. All of better together. Well, there's the just sort of nebulous stuff like we're better together. Like with who? Like us? Like who? Us? Like my family or us and Hamas? Or like who's...
What about
who's this team you're talking about?
Maybe they should put up that thing with the is it coexist that's made up of all the different symbols of other. I'm telling you, man, whoever came up with that was pretty fucking clever. You may think it's like, hippy dippy or whatever, but they kind of nailed it.
No, that and the person that came up the concept for CHIPS, California Highway Patrol, the beginning when they shove the I in there, CHIPS, chip. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So I don't think any of this does anything. I don't think anybody passing by the sign pulls over and gets arrested. I don't think anyone slows down or ends the senior abuse. I don't think anybody stops the child abuse or at least reins it in a little bit. I realize we're bombarded by messages, but we ignore almost all of them. And then people go, well, what's wrong with that? You're just being told not to abuse your child or not to be racist or something. And I would argue two things. One, it makes it seem like that's our culture. But then two, I think there's a crazy tune-out factor where people don't hear anything. Anymore. And now stuff they need to hear.
Well, like the super vague, you remember after 9/11, if you see something, say something. And it's more like, hey, if you notice any brown people acting suspiciously, call the police. Isn't that what they were saying?
The neighborhood, I'm in Malibu. I'll walk up the hill in the back of Malibu. They have neighborhood alert things. Like if you see a suspicious person, well, that would be a black person in Malibu.
In Malibu.
If you saw a black dude
Just
in a hoodie, like walking around someone's driveway, kind of peeking around, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers. We're not talking about them.
Or watch out for a drunken Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh,
driving on the PCH.
That should have been on that fucking sign. Yeah. Oh, the best. I was just talking about this the other day. The Malibu lifeguard stations have a keep Malibu hate free.
Oh.
So there's hate evidently running wild. I'm just saying, here's my thing. When you have nothing, put a picture of a missing kid. Mm-hmm. Like the freeway sign that has nothing could have a picture of a missing kid.
Right.
Nobody's pulling over for a nap in Westwood at 3:00.
Yeah.
But maybe someone knows little Laura.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Keep our beaches hate free. It makes you feel like, what just happened?
There must have been an incident involving a lynching or those Jewish civil rights kids and they never found their car. they were going to Nobu, and that's the last anyone saw them was leaving Nobu. They found the car on PCH across from Duke's.
Yeah, with the Land Rover with the coexist bumper sticker.
That's right, but the last time they were spotted was leaving Nobu with Kanye. And they haven't been seen since. So I don't know if they're buried somewhere in this vast sand.
Right.
But let's stop the hate, people. Can we already?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Especially on beaches. That's the most peaceful place. Like I don't think I've ever seen hate on a beach before.
No, the closest
traffic is where you see it.
The closest incident I ever had to a hate crime on the beach is when I was like 8. I was humiliated. I was like 8.
Did a bully kick sand in your face? And then you lifted weights?
No. I was walking down the beach where right where the tide just sort of rolled in and came around. Just enough to get your feet wet kind of place. And I looked down and there was a 6-pack of Coke in bottles, sort of half buried in the sand. And I was like, and we were so fucking poor and hungry all the time. We never had anything, You like drink from the hose. And I was like, oh my God, a 6-pack of Coke is washed up upon the beach. And and I like went out and I was like, oh my God, this is good. It was so weird and rare to just have a Coke when I was 9, And I bent over to start pulling it out of the sand and I hear, excuse you. And I'm like, what is this? And I look and it's some bitch like standing there going, we put it in the sand to keep it cold. Get away from it. And I was like, that's my entire life. You've just you've summarized. Thank you for my entire life.
You don't deserve the Coke.
I don't. You're not getting it. You don't deserve it. There'll be no air conditioning for you.
Right.
And you thought 1 minute ago you were lucky. And now you're being embarrassed in front of a group of people. You should hang your head and keep walking.
Oh, that's brutal. And it was cold. It was in the sand.
I was doing a 9-year-old's math, like this washed up.
Yep.
Plus half the stuff I saw when I was a kid involved castaways and stuff washing up on shores.
Yeah.
And Swiss Family Robinson and all that kind of stuff. It was all themed about the beach and stuff washing up. So I thought
some dude finding a kilo of Coke in Miami.
Yeah. Well, that came a little later, but there was a board game called Castaway. I swear to God, you could find a commercial for that. I think it was called Castaway. It was like a 70s board game. And it was like stupid kids on the beach, like one of those commercials from your past, but not one you ever think of or pull up. But anyway, that's my life. Drink from the hose.
I almost got in a fight yesterday. Very close to a fight. I got on. I was in Philly, flying home, and I walked down the aisle, and I got the window seat, and there's a guy in the middle seat. And so I say, "Excuse me, I'm over there." But then I sat down, and I put
He's in the middle.
He's in the middle.
You got to get past him to get to the
So
window.
he gets up. and I sit down, and then I put my bag in the middle, thinking he was on the aisle for some reason. I just forgot. And so he just stands there, he doesn't say anything, and he just fucking eyeballs me. Just stares me down. And I go, "What's the problem?" And he just looked at my bag and he goes, "That's my seat." And I go, "Well, why didn't you just say that?" I go, why are you fucking eyeballing me right now?" And he's got a thick, ugly Philly accent. And so he sits down and he says something else to me. We go back and forth.
But this is a 6-hour flight, right?
It's a 6-hour flight.
That's a lot of time.
I'm a coach, Adam.
I'm saying it's a lot of time to be literally rubbing elbows with the guy you got some beef with before you get off the ground.
Right. So I sit down and he's sitting next to me. And we don't say anything. And I don't have a big hang up about it. Like, I spoke my piece. I would have had an issue if I hadn't said something back to him about it. So then we're sitting there, and he's got an attitude. He keeps looking at me. And then about an hour into the flight, I say, "Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom." And I think you know why. I think you know my history.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got to masturbate?
Yeah. So I said, "Excuse me, can I get up?" And he goes, "No." He's got a computer. He goes, "No, I'm working."
Really?
Yeah.
So he just bukkakied him?
Yeah.
That'll get a guy to move.
That would have been amazing. And I go, "No, I'm serious. I need you to get up." And he goes, "I'm not getting up."
Whoa.
So we went back and forth.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, and the weird thing is, I understand why there's fights on planes. If he and I had a conflict off a plane, there would have been 3, 4, 5 feet between us.
Yes.
But when there's an inch between you and another human, and you have even a small disagreement, it gets very big very fast.
Right.
And so I did the smart thing. I hit the flight attendant button. Flight attendant come over, I go, "Excuse me, can you ask this gentleman to move so I can go to the restroom?" Wow. And then the guy stares at me. And I stare right back, and he kind of leans in, and I lean in.
Is there another guy on the aisle?
Yes.
Does he have to experience this?
He's got on headphones, and he's doing his own thing.
Good for him.
And so he stands up, and I go to the bathroom. I take care of what I need to take care of.
Sure.
And I come back, and in the bathroom, I had to fart. I clipped it.
Let me write this down.
I clipped it. I sucked it in, didn't let it out. And then I walked back to the seat, and he got up, and as I got in, I ripped it. I ripped it on seat E, and I just let it waft, and I just sat down, put on my headphones, and I went to sleep. I slept for the rest of the flight.
Now, the ejaculation fart, I feel like sometimes that can be hard to hold back,
Oh, because your whole nether regions are releasing.
Yeah, everything's kind of running, and it's a Chinese fire drill going on down there, but you kept the fart chambered.
Kept it chambered, and I had a cheese platter because American Airlines, the only snack they offer you cross country is a cheese box. You want to create more gas in the cabin of the plane? Offer cheese boxes.
Maybe they're trying to bind you up so you don't, drop the deuce.
That's true.
In there. Maybe
unless you're lactose intolerant.
Yeah. Well, then I think, and you stay away from it.
I am lactose intolerant, but I was so fucking hungry I got the cheese box anyway.
And then you crop dusted the guy when you came back to.
Yeah, with a cheese fart. It was very eggy. Now, had a hint of sulfur.
What do you think this guy's age and profession was? And he lived in Philly.
Yeah.
Right? Was going to LA to do something.
Yeah.
What any guess? And he was working. He had his computer open.
Yeah.
Spreadsheet on it.
Didn't notice, but my computer was open, and the second half of the flight, I had my screen up, and I was working on, since my hour, I've got a new hour special.
You're working on
jokes.
And
I'm working on my jokes. I got a spreadsheet out. I'm moving jokes around. And, and I actually talk about this in my special, that this is the second time this happened. And he was looking at my screen, and I typed, "Stop looking at my screen."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are all things I could never do.
All right.
I just didn't have the intestinal fortitude to do any of the things you just discussed.
Yeah.
I would just sort of eat shit and sit there and
Yeah, but you're in
not
first
do
class.
anything.
You don't deal with these kinds of people.
Some of the time I am, but oftentimes I'm not.
I mean, let's profile a human being that ends up in a middle seat on a cross-country flight. This is not a human who has their shit together.
That's a good point.
This is not somebody who resources themselves or is organized or balanced in any way. This is a last-minute kind of distracted by his anger, resentful about his station in life. That's the E seat. I'm in the F seat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. It says a life not well led, maybe a little out of control.
Right.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right, that game I'm making up, Castaway? Is I making that up? Board game?
We have found a board game, The Castaways from 1977.
That might
We have not found a commercial. We have found a Bermuda Triangle board game commercial where there's some Lost Islandy stuff happening.
I think it's called Castaways, and maybe there is a commercial somewhere. All right. Another thing to bring up to you. Fitz Dog.
Yeah.
Unless there's something you want to get into.
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about.
All right. Lay them on me.
Well, we got, I want to talk about, can we talk about religion a little bit?
Yeah.
I was in Philly, and I've got some of my new jokes are about religion, and I got two walkouts, two different shows. I had a couple people walk out, which I take as a point of pride. I love a walkout. I love the stick around. There's always the chick who's comes alone. They call her a chuckle fucker.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. I love a chuckle fucker. Not that I'm gonna have sex with her, but it's
the
nice.
thought. That's the thing with I want a gay guy to hit on me once every 10 years for the love of Christ.
Right.
I'll say no, but we'll both feel good about ourselves.
Will you blush?
I'll do the thing where I pull my fan out and I go fresh, and I smack him with the fan.
So I'm doing this joke about the Virgin Mary and how she kind of had an angle. Like when it comes to Marys, she was on brand. She was Virgin Mary, and everybody knows who she is. But the Bible never talks about after she had Jesus. Did she get to fuck after that? Like I would hope for Joseph's sake, he's the biggest cuck in Bethlehem. You hope he gets some of that Mary pussy.
Right. That's good.
And imagine how beautiful the Virgin Mary's vagina. I mean, it would be like a half a peach with just a razor cut down the middle with a rainbow streaming out of it. And, you pull the panties down and harps are playing.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, harps used to always meant you were going into a dream.
Oh, right.
You'd hear the harp, and then the close his eyes, and then the fantasy would begin, or the dream. It was always in the city. It was always harp.
Yeah.
Harp music meant you were drifting away. So two people got up and walked out.
Yes.
And I agree with you. There's a thing of like certain things that sound bad, but are really feathers in your cap. Like I'd like to be removed from a casino for counting cards and winning a little too much.
Yeah,
or
that's good.
Kill a man with my hands, or like have a girlfriend commit suicide after I dumped her. Things that sound bad, but you see, like it might. If you had a girlfriend
that's fucking dark.
But if you had that, you would weave it into every third conversation.
Yes.
Like if I did have a girlfriend who killed herself because I broke up with her, that dude in the middle seat would know about it at some point during that flight. That's all I'm saying. I would bring it up a lot.
Yeah, or as people go like, "Hey, we're going to Disneyland tomorrow. You want to join?" You're like, "Not allowed, barred."
Yeah, right.
You don't explain why.
Right. Yeah, barred, hands registered as weapons, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So guys getting up and leaving, I've experienced that.
You're not doing your job. If nobody's
You're not
ever
doing
leaving,
your job.
Yeah.
That's
you
right.
need to find the line and step a little bit over it.
Yeah, but it is weird. Now, that person enjoyed your set up until that.
No, the new set's going good, and I'm coming out. I'm doing jokes that people don't agree with, and then I get DMs from people that say, drop the religious stuff. Liked your set otherwise, and I just write back, not really taking input.
Right.
I go, feel free to not come back to the show, but I don't take notes on what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I've definitely.
I mean, what is that with the internet? What people tell you? They're so entitled.
I am very, as previously stated, just the conversation you had with the guy in the middle seat was a bridge too far for me, much less coming up to a comedian and explaining what they should do or shouldn't do as far as their act goes, especially as a civilian. I would not do it as a comedian, but if I was an audience member, especially when I was younger, I did not believe it was your idea. It wasn't in your purview to talk to any adult or any professional. I wouldn't say anything to a cop. I wouldn't say anything to a comedian. I wouldn't say anything to anyone who was doing a job that I was either benefiting from or experiencing or in the audience of. I mean, the only time I went to a strip club when I was, I think maybe it was the Body Shop or something on Studio City, on Sunset. And there was an actual stripper show that we wanted to go see. And it was like, you could get in at 18 and a half and order soda, but you couldn't buy a beer, So me and my friends went down there, and it was like Kitten Natividad from the Russ Myers films was up there doing her champagne dance, totally different time, big champagne thing, rub-a-dub-dub or whatever. And I was so fucking desperate for work and so out of it that when the strip club DJ made some sort of joke about, well, we're going to need a new janitor around here after Kitten made that mess of the stage. When the show was over, I walked up to him. I was like, excuse me, Mr. DJ person. I would be happy to fill that job as a janitor here. I would work real hard. He was like, get the fuck out of here, kid. I was like, I thought you requested a job for a janitor. I could be that janitor. He's like, we don't need a janitor. Get the fuck out of here. And I was like,
wait, is it that you wanted a job that bad, or that you would do anything to work in a strip club?
It was like 1982 and a half. There were no jobs. The economy was fucking wrecked. And I was poor, and I was living in my dad's garage with no air conditioning. And I needed any job.
Yeah.
I was applying at liquor stores and supermarkets and walking onto construction sites with the shovel. Where do I go? So I was looking for a job, but would have dug being the janitor at the strip club because that'd be cool. I get to see be leaning against my mop in the back of the room. While all the acts would come in and do their dance,
you know what you're mopping up in the VIP rooms, right?
I wouldn't have cared. I would have done it with my mustache. If that guy would have went, if that DJ would have went, okay, son, but here's the provision. We're out of mops, and I need you to grow a full mustache and get all the jizz up with your mustache. I'd be like, okay, what time Monday? What time should I be here? I would have. I would have done the bathroom floor. I would have done a jizz Zamboni.
Yeah.
With my mustache.
Oh, wow.
At that particular time.
Yeah.
Now, probably not. Then, for sure.
Yeah.
Jizz Zamboni.
Jizz Zamboni. And you could smell it out. That's the thing, is what, because it's dark
I'm
under
like a
those
truffle
tables.
pig.
Yeah.
You better hope I don't need to use the head on the American flight after you, Fitz dog. I'll go in there. I'll sound the alarm. I may pull that rope for the break up top.
I told you the key to the cleanup in there is you layer the bowl with toilet paper, because it's not water cleared. It's air that sucks it out.
Yeah.
And your protein adheres itself to the base.
Yeah.
So you need to layer it with toilet paper. I've said this a million times, but
I know.
I feel like maybe one of those highway signs should say that.
That should be up on the highway sign.
Line your airplane toilet with...
Now, do you go for the airjack every time?
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess because you only fly once every 7 weeks or something. So.
No, I fly every other weekend.
Oh, you're going out that much?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, you took the summer off, right?
Yeah, I usually don't work in the summers very much.
And so where do you beat off? Do you mock up an airplane bathroom at your house?
Yeah, yes.
Or can you just do it in the regular, like
yeah,
the shower?
I have a closet that I put a little sink in and a mirror.
Little stainless sink.
Yeah, and it's got an air blower.
Slope the ceiling.
Slope the ceiling. Put the forehead against the ceiling. That's what I do. That's my move. Get about a 45-degree angle going. And then maybe I go overhand. I go overhand. That keeps it low and in control. You can really aim it.
And what if right in the middle of the sesh, the seatbelt placard starts going off, or the chime? Are they pulling focus?
It's like fucking during an earthquake.
Oh, it's like
turbo.
It's like someone dropped a digit on you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel you.
Are you kidding me? That's where I head to the bath when I hear they announce there's going to be turbulence coming. Heading south.
Any thoughts about who's heading into the bathroom next? For instance, if it's a woman, if it's a man, disabled, you know what I mean? Is there any thoughts about like what would be next?
Let's just say people really think I'm a gentleman back there because I let anybody who's waiting go ahead of me. I'm the headliner.
Oh, yeah.
I close the show.
Yeah, you need an opener, a feature, middles.
Yeah.
Like
you hope that the feature is a hottie.
Yeah.
With some perfume. That leaves a little perfume in there for you.
And like just I was here.
Yeah.
Just a dusting of them.
Yeah.
And you don't want a line forming, right? That's too much.
No, and one doesn't form. I've got it down. I've got my thoughts. It's like a quarterback taking a snap. First snap of the game. You've got your options laid out.
First 5 plays are laid out.
Yes.
And if you go at the 55-minute mark, nobody else has gotten up at that point.
55 minutes?
No, I don't mean in the bathroom. You got up an hour into the flight, which is most people make it 3 hours into the flight. Right?
It's like getting in there before the 7th inning stretch.
Right.
Around 6th inning, people are waiting for the 7th inning stretch.
Now, would bringing a laptop computer into the bathroom be what we'd call a tell?
It's a tell and it's a cheat.
That's
for
a
me.
cheat.
I like to bareback it. I like to think that at 58 I can still freestyle.
Yeah.
Unassisted.
Yeah. No, wonderful.
When's the last time you went unassisted?
I have so much in the spank bank, as they say now, that it's really unnecessary to go for visual assistance.
Get out of here.
Oh, well, I'm saying unnecessary.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't go for the visual, but it's unnecessary.
Good
I'm
to
saying
know.
at this point,
Yeah.
because you need it for the bathroom. There's going to be events.
Yes.
You're flying. The flight's over an hour and 20 minutes. You have to beat off.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
And you go back. That's the thing I realize is like I go back to some old memories, but then I think to myself sometimes, like some of my most intense, productive images are girls in high school wearing that I went to high school with, wearing like a cheerleader uniform. And then I think, wait a minute, I'm 58. She's 17. She's underage. But then I think, no, I'm grandfathered in because I was 17 when she was 17.
Yeah. I feel the same way about the vintage porn stars who are no longer with us. I feel like I'm grandfathered in because I used to smack it to them back in the day.
Yeah.
And not only that, kind of the ultimate tip of the cap, in terms of legacy.
Sure.
I mean, that is the ultimate legacy. I mean, yeah, you could name a library after your grandpa or something. That's fine. But masturbating to a person's imagery from like 1987.
Yeah.
That is a fitting tribute.
Can you imagine how she would feel, being on her deathbed and you walking down the hallway of the hospital and you glance in and you just see something in her eyes and you're like, Holly Golightly? And you walk in. That's not a porn name, but like say an old.
There's one named Holly Body.
Oh, maybe that. All right. So you see Holly Body. You can tell from her eyes it's her. And you walk in, and she's holding on to her grandson's hand. She's got a teddy bear clutched against her chest, and you just go down the other side and you whisper in her ear, "I just whacked it to you about 3 hours ago," and see the real smile pop up.
Yeah.
Not the "I'm going to miss you, Grandma. You meant everything to me."
Right.
But the young virile guy who had a choice of
Right.
unlimited porn, and he went vintage.
Yeah. Is that Holly Body?
Wow.
Yeah. She was.
She's like a Valerie Bertinelli type.
She dated one of the guys. I think she dated one of the guys from the Crystal Method. Remember that band?
No.
That's a porn name too. I think the Crystal Method band out of Vegas. Nice guys. Used to interview them. For some reason, I think one of them dated Holly Body, which was her name. Now, I don't know. She's probably still with us. But if she isn't, a one-gun salute tonight would be fitting.
Let's all do it.
Let's all do it. Let's commit to that. Did she date one of the guys from the Vegas-based Crystal Method band who I used to interview on Loveline way back then, and has probably been on this program before?
I met a guy once.
And what about the guys who date porn stars?
What about him?
I don't trust them.
No.
And I don't think I could be one of them. And I don't like their motivation, and it never really works out because they weren't there. Like at the beginning, they're like, I don't mind. But at some point, something, right?
Yeah, like I remember. Well, I think maybe the exception was Tito Ortiz and Jenna Jameson. Like they actually seem to have like a very working relationship for a long time. They got married.
Yeah, but it didn't end up good.
Well, who does?
It's a good point, but this ended up very bad, I think. But
with Jenna?
Keep going. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, a lot of custody and drugs and intervention and stuff.
Okay, all right. So there was my one good example. But I used to interview a lot of porn stars. You know who I loved was Belladonna. Was just the best, coolest chick of all time. And she was, she did some crazy shit. She did a lot of pregnancy porn, like third-term pregnancy porn. A lot of foot fetish stuff. Third term.
Ken Jordan from the Crystal Method dated Holly Body. So that's what I know. But ask me my son's middle name. God, hold on. Give me a minute. Oh, I got to talk to his mother. Anyway, keep going.
So she would come into the show, and she had a boyfriend / manager. All the porn stars' boyfriends were / managers. There was a lot of that, and that never worked out.
Yeah. That can never work out.
There was another one. I hosted the Porn Awards one year with.
Oh, that's right. You're an AVNer.
I'm an AVNer. And I hosted it with, I won't say her name, but she's one of the biggest porn stars out there, Tara Patrick. And so she had a boyfriend who had been best. And actually, I don't know if it's, I hosted it twice. Once with, no, it was somebody else. And there was an after party in her hotel suite. And so I went there. And, I'm sober, and they're all getting shit-faced, and there's an Altoid tin filled with ecstasy. And so her boyfriend had played basketball for, like, USC or UCLA. He was like 6'5", built, and he was her boyfriend / manager. And he's like, "You want a drink?" I was like, "No, that's all right, I don't drink." He goes, "Well, then take some ecstasy." And I was like, I don't really do that. And he goes, "Come on, man, do it." It was really weird. I was like in 8th grading. I was like, "No, I really don't want to." And he took one out and he pinned me on the ground and he pried my mouth open and he stuck the ecstasy in my mouth.
Really?
And as I'm laying there, I'm looking at this big dude and I'm looking at all these porn stars like splayed out, with the ecstasy eyes and their tits are hanging out. And I'm thinking, this would be a lot of guys' fantasy right now.
Yeah.
It
would.
To have ecstasy forced in their mouth. And then I spit it out and then I get out of there.
I would have spit it out, but I wouldn't have wanted to waste the ecstasy. I probably would have went and washed it off in the sink and then patted it dry on my T-shirt and then set it back in there because I'm so against waste. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was the first AVN or the second AVN?
That was the first, because I remember the first one, my wife was not there, and there was a lot of running around. There was... all my friends came out. All my agents came out.
Really?
I ended up renting a house because I had like 17 people that were... Meanwhile, I do a gig at the Hollywood Improv and I invite everybody. Nobody shows up. And now I got 17 people. They all come out. I rent a house and they come and you go to a wedding and like the centerpiece is flowers, and at the end of the night, somebody gets to take home the flowers.
Right.
The centerpieces at the AVNs were dildos and fleshlights. And so all my friends are there and everybody grabs a fleshlight, and then we take a limo out and we're going to strip clubs, and we've all got the fleshlight, and we're showing the strippers, and we're pretending it's a puppet and playing games, and it's all fun.
Yeah.
And then we all go back to our hotel. I go to the after party. I don't take the Altoids. I go to my room, and then the next day we're all meeting in the lobby to head home, and there's a bunch of us, and I go, "Did you fuck it?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, I fucked it. Did you fuck it?"
Everyone tried the fleshlight?
It's like the gun under the couch in drama. If you give a man the fleshlight, he's got to fuck the fleshlight.
Yeah, I feel that way about police with tasers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you gave me... When I was at the Man Show, Cousin Sal brought a taser in. By lunch, everyone in that building been tased.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Right,
You couldn't keep it on your hip without brandishing it, right? You keep the fleshlight shall be filled.
It was filled.
Did you try the fleshlight?
I tried the fleshlight. I enjoyed it. It was it felt corporate. It felt a little bit like, I don't know if I like this future that we're obviously headed towards. And then the worst part was, then I'm like, all right, now what do I do? It's dirty.
Right.
I'm not putting it in my luggage and getting flagged at the TSA. And I don't want to throw it in the trash because that's kind of weird for the maid to have to find a flashlight.
I agree.
And so what I did was I slipped it into the pocket of the bathrobe in the closet.
That is much better.
As a time bomb prank on some guy. Because any guy that puts on the bathrobe in a hotel room is kind of a douche. He's kind of pretentious.
I was wearing one 24 hours ago.
No, you weren't.
I was. I like a bathrobe. I'm not going to defend myself. I'm going to say that I stayed at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. I was doing a corporate gig there. They gave me a room for a night. I do love doing anything at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel because I used to clean the carpets of the Grand Trianon, which was the main ballroom there.
Yeah.
And I've done charity events and gigs and stuff in the ballroom.
Yeah.
And all I do is they go, Adam Carolla, everybody. And I just stand at the end of the stage. I just stare at the carpet. And I'm back in 1984, and Art Fuss is yelling, time to lean, time to clean, and I'm just pushing chairs around and mopping. You had to work from 10 till 4 in the morning because you couldn't do it during working hours. So I love the MacArthur returning to the Philippines pilgrimage back to the Grand Trianon at the Beverly Hills Hotel. But I must say, I will, in my defense, not go looking for the robe, but in this particular case, they were hanging like off the shower just there. And I stepped out of the shower and I was like, I'm putting this robe on.
Yeah.
And I put it on, I reached into the pocket, and there was a fucking fleshlight in there. So I'm not saying it was yours, but you started a movement.
I did. And of course, if you find a fleshlight, you're going to fuck the fleshlight.
You got to use it.
Yeah. So we've been closer than I thought.
Are they C-cell, rechargeable, AA, crank, solar powered, what powers them?
I want to see if I can get one that's powered by the blower, of an airplane bathroom.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome.
True blow job.
Yeah.
No, this thing was loaded and ready to go. I didn't check on the mechanics of it. I just...
Must be, Emmy, and a fleshlight must be a couple of double A's, right?
Double A's?
Well, not what you're looking for in a porn star, but it can't be D-cell. Like, that's a baton.
Yeah,
like, that's way too much weight at the end. If your hand slipped, it'll pull your cock off.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's fleshlight-related injuries coming into the emergency room.
Oh, there's gotta be.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gotta be. I mean, I know that I got my mom a foot massager for Christmas, and it clamped down on her foot.
Oh,
so
really?
I can imagine with the fleshlight.
No, they plug in.
Oh, really?
So you got to get an extension cord if you want to use it in the bathroom or your next commercial flight. Imagine Fitzdog rolling out on this big orange cord. Excuse me. All right, is your phone fully charged, son? Yeah, okay. I need that. Speaking of Jack, long story. All right, let me give Fitzdog his plugs here. The stand-up special, very funny. You Know Me, available on YouTube. Worth your while. I watch it in its entirety. Shows coming up: Tacoma, Tempe, at the Punchline in San Francisco. GregFitzsimmons.com is where you go, right? And we're going to have live dates there.
Yep.
We'll bid adieu to Fitzdog and do the news right after this.
Hey, I'm Adam Carolla. That's Brad Williams and Jay Leno. Hey, everybody. Over there, we're doing our third annual comedy fantasy camp. That's going to be January 23rd through the 26th, right in Hollywood, California. Where else would it be? These guys are going to be there.
So remember, 2 out of every 3 comics make it big.
Well, 1.5.
Do I get paid for this? Please tell me I get paid for this.
Go to comedyfantasycamp.com and get in on the fun.
Well, it's the best time of the year to get some home security going, and that's where Simply Safe comes in. They're giving my listeners early access to the Black Friday sale. That's right. You get in early. Ground floor, Simply Safe's new Active Guard outdoor protection changes the game by preventing crime before it happens. Right. You don't want to get a busted window, someone in the house, then you find out. No, this nips it in the butt. If someone's lurking around and acting suspicious, agents see them in real time, talk to them directly, set off a spotlight, even call the police. No long-term contracts. And by the way, I think they use AI to recognize the friendly neighbor or the person that's walking their dog. No long-term lock-in contracts, cancellation fees. It's around $1 a day. That's not much to spend for security. This week, well, you can take 60% off any new system with the Select Professional Monitoring Plan. It's their best offer of the year, and it's all for you. It's Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
Head to simplysafe.com/Adam to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this season. Don't wait. This offer won't last long. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Sometimes I struggle to stay focused. Feel like my mood may be down a little bit, but not anymore. Feel Free Classic Tonic. This stuff is great. I was walking through the offices here about 3 hours ago, and I just walked in an office and I saw a box of it, and I took it, and I tried some Feel Free. Take about half a bottle, shake it up real good, and you'll feel the focus. You'll feel the energy boost. So if you're tired, you run down, or you're just feeling like you could use a little pep in your step, Feel Free. And I don't take as much caffeine anymore. I usually will have a cup of coffee before the show just to get a little, get my eyes opened a little bit. But now I use this product. You can take it 2 or 3 times a week when you know you need some energy or feeling a little bit down. Really helps. And like I said, I don't know what else to tell you, but I took the product home, used it, ran out of it, and just went and got my next box of it and taken that home. So it is Feel Free Classic Right, Dawson?
Make the switch to all-natural energy and get an extra little mood lift with this plant-based tonic. Go to botanictonics.com and use the code Adam at checkout for $40 off a 12-pack case. Again, that's botanictonics.com, code Adam.
Mayhem and some news, Mayhem.
Got some news. First up, FEMA official who allegedly told workers to avoid Florida homes with Trump signs fired. Here's the lady right here.
Yeah. Let me say, I heard this story, right? That the plan was not to help out the people with the Trump signs in front of their house after the hurricane blew through. This is in Florida, I think, right? Now, look, everyone thinks I'm a douche, and everyone thinks I'm wrong, and everyone thinks I'm talking out my ass. I am not. I heard this story. Now, when I hear FEMA, and I don't know if she was like a regional director or whatever. She didn't run FEMA, but she was in charge of something at FEMA. When I first heard this story, I thought, oh, this is a woman. Now, you don't think FEMA and woman, but you do think don't help people I can't stand. That's a female trait.
Yeah.
Women got a lot of trouble keeping their emotions out of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Guys, guys, you spend your whole life, whether you're a referee or you're calling balls and strikes or an umpire or whatever your job is, an attorney who has to defend some guy who's probably murdered his wife, but you got to put all those feelings aside and you got to do your job. Chicks have trouble putting their feelings aside for stuff. I'm telling you, I've got yelled at TSA going through there by a million chicks. I wasn't even doing anything. They were just having a shitty day, and I reminded them of their stepdad, who they didn't like. Now, the first thing I said is, this is a chick. I just heard the story. You guys can do all the revisionist history you want. I just heard the story and went, this is a woman who normally you don't think of in a position of, it's like if you said airplane pilot. You wouldn't think it's a woman. But if I heard her do something that acted like a woman, I would think that pilot was a woman. So I said woman, and then I paused and I said black woman. And the reason I said that is because I've been yelling at everyone for the last decade or more. If you take people and you convince them that this guy is Hitler, he's racist, he wants to put you back in chains, he wants to put you back in the plantation, and he doesn't like you or even tolerate you.
Yeah.
If you convince people of that, then you took those people and you put them in some position of power, then why wouldn't this be the most likely outcome? What would you do? And by the way, it's almost kind of incumbent upon you.
Yeah.
If you were...
They'd be a bad person if they didn't react that way.
Well, we all know the, kill Hitler as a youth sort of scenario.
Yeah, abort him if you could.
Abort Hitler if you could. And then anyone who was trying... There were a couple of assassination attempts on Hitler. We were rooting for the people who were planting the bomb in Valkyrie underneath the table. So... yeah, it makes sense. So you take a black woman, you convince her that this guy named Trump hates her and doesn't want her here. And this is before the election, and the people that are voting for him live in these houses. Well, then why wouldn't you do this? And how's this not going to happen? And now we're living in it. So good fucking luck, everybody.
Supervisor.
Okay, but this thing is like, we need more women in positions. No, we do not. We absolutely don't. I live in
that's
Los
something
Angeles.
I don't understand about
that.
America, that we don't, we don't have the, you try to make everyone, men and women, the same. So then, you're discounting the fact that we're very different.
Yes.
And that is a good thing.
It is.
Yeah, so that way you can divide it up so that the dudes do dude things, and that's not a bad thing. And the chicks do chick things, and that's not, and you raise them up for being good at doing certain things.
Well, it's weird because it's like you understand, like every one of those heist movies, they go, this guy's a great wheelman.
Yeah.
And this guy's a knife thrower.
Yeah.
And this guy's a demolition guy.
Yeah.
And then this guy's a computer whiz.
Yeah.
And together, that's how we're breaking into Fort Knox, Yeah. Okay, you understand the benefit, but you don't have four guys who throw knives. That's what we're trying to do with men and women. Just turn them all into one fucking thing with a vag and a penis and one giant fleshlight. And here we are. No, it's good that you can protect. You know, you're bigger, you're stronger. If there's trouble, you can protect. I can fix things. It's nice. They're better at other things. It's a good thing.
You know what it is, though? We don't define what women are good. There's no stereotypical, oh, women are better at this.
Well, we don't allow...
Because if we say, oh, they're better at cooking, better at taking care of the kids, now we're sexist. But
yes.
Even saying something good...
I know. Can't say black guy has a big dick. Otherwise you're sexist. No, I mean you're racist. But what I'm saying is we're different. There is a difference. It's in all of nature, and it's a good thing. But if you're going to take women, and then you're going to take women of color, and you're going to put them in positions where they get to make decisions, and you're going to try to convince them that they're in a society that doesn't want them here, and would like them removed, you're not going to always get a good outcome.
Very vindictive.
So this is what we got.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Next up on the news.
It's a shame that I knew it in advance.
Next up on the news is Mattel mistakenly prints a porn site in Wicked doll boxes. This is unacceptable, says Mattel. Yeah, the toy company behind Barbie and Hot Wheels is facing backlash for accidentally listing a URL of a porn website in the packaging of its Wicked doll boxes.
Is this movie gonna be good? Does anyone know? I think I've seen the play.
You saw the play?
I saw the play.
Never got a chance. I don't know.
You MMA guys didn't flock to the theater to see the musical?
I did
known
see
as Wicked?
Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Well, that makes
on Broadway.
sense. That was the one where everyone was getting hurt.
Yeah,
right?
I was rooting for someone to
Something
get
to break.
severely injured. And I could see why. It was a top quality production.
A lot of cables and people flying around.
Yep, spinning like right over your head. Yeah, it was pretty nice.
So, Wicked, the musical, was kind of fun. I like musicals. I've seen quite a few. The movie doesn't always turn out that well. They made The Wizard of Oz, and then they made the all-black version of that called
The Wiz,
which I saw in the theater with my grandfather.
Didn't that have Michael Jackson in it?
It had Nipsey Russell and Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and I don't know who rerun. I don't know who else. But I don't know if this is going to... When's it coming out? Is it going to be good?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just know that they put the porn site on there. And I'll be honest, I researched for science and went to the website. Pretty tame. Pretty
tame?
Yeah,
Wicked?
the back, yeah.
Wicked.
Pretty G-rated. You got to click through and put your email to get anything real dirty.
So no harm.
But, I guess Stormy Daniels is signed to this company. So,
Wicked,
you can see some presidential porn.
Wicked's out of... I mean, everything's in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, this is the era.
Wicked, I used to know somebody who worked Wicked. I think her name, this is her real name. She wasn't a porn star, but she was like an executive for Wicked. Her name was Joy King.
All right.
I thought that is a great
porn name.
Porn name, but it's also a great executive name for a porn place. Yeah. It's coming out. The 22nd of November is when it's going to be released, so they say.
I mean, are you in the conspiracy camp, or this is just some way to drum up attention? Because that sounds a little too good that somebody forgot to put wickedmovie.com instead of Wicked.
I don't know why everything isn't dry run. Like before I would write, like if I was writing a guy's name as Brian Johnson, I would check to see if he did it with a Y or an I before I sent it, just because I don't know, So I don't know why they don't do a dry run. Speaking of that, where are you at with this Tyson fight?
Ooh-wee. I mean, look, I'm with the majority of Americans that want to see Mike Tyson knock the English stuffing off this guy, right?
Yeah.
You want to see that.
Kind of.
But my fighter sensibility lets me know that age is undefeated.
Yes.
And as tough as Tyson looks hitting the pads, if you remember, Tyson did punch a guy on an airplane a while back, and the guy looked about 150 pounds, and he did not knock him out.
He also had his Roy Jones thing, right?
Exactly.
Which
yeah.
hard to tell with that of how much kind
There's
of home cooking
little
there
touch
was.
butt, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's free on Netflix, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, you got to pay your Netflix subscription, but yeah, it's coming up. It's like this Friday.
I'm going to Jimmy's house for his birthday, and he said he's having it on. So
Nice.
it'll be good, I guess.
yeah.
I mean, I look forward to it. But
I think the fans win in a way because look, Mike Tyson is that threatening, like, man, he is still Mike Tyson. And
Yeah.
he showed us on social media, he's still got that bump in him. You know what I
Yes.
mean? He's on the right medications and he's Mike Tyson still. But age, if Jake Paul gets sloppy and reaches out too much, because Jake Paul is not that fast. He's a powerful athlete, but he's not very fast. Like he punches pretty hard, but they're not one of those like snappy like young Tyson was. And Mike Tyson still has a few Rochambeaus in him. So let's see what happens in that first couple rounds, because who the hell knows after that.
I agree. It's so funny. I saw Tyson. I think I interviewed Tyson when he had a doc. Tyson, the doc came out, I mean, I'm going to say it was 12 years ago, maybe more, 13. What year, I mean, did the Tyson doc come out? It won some awards and stuff. It was like well received. He started doing his one-man show and everything.
Oh, that one.
I believe it was 2013.
2013
Yeah,
sounds
I
about
remember,
right.
yeah.
I went and saw it, and then I interviewed him afterward, and he wasn't moving good. Like he seemed old. Now he was depressed, and I think he was smoking a lot of weed or doing God knows what. But he was not like, I was like, oh, this is a shell of this guy. Now that was 12 years ago. Now he's adjusted his medication or got back on the training horse. Like whatever he did, he came out of that.
Well, I just know as an athlete, I coach kids every morning, and I know the ebb and flow of myself as an athlete, that there are times where I feel old. Like I'm like, oh my God. And I'll go through a little era of like moving kind of janky, and I'll come up out of it. I'll get to training real good, shed some extra weight, and just be on time, like take the right supplements, and then I'm just on fire for a good stretch. And then again, it doesn't last like it did when I was a kid, where I'm just nonstop, like that.
Right.
But I fall off the cliff a little bit and then get injured and even Tyson said it in an interview recently where he said that he was having a podcast interview with the guy, and the guy said, "Oh, you hit the pads, you looked awesome." And he's like, "Huh, man, I was in a bed for 2 weeks." And then after that, and the guy was laughing. He's like, "What are you laughing at?" Because he was dead serious. And I get that. Because I can still sometimes train like young Mayhem, but then I have to pay like old Mayhem.
Where is the fight?
It's in Dallas, Texas. I think at the old the Cowboy Stadium.
At Texas Stadium? The new one?
Arlington,
wow.
right? Yeah.
Are they, it's going to be a ticketed event. It's going to be an undercard. I'm going to fight Bonaducci on the undercard.
Hell yeah.
I was supposed to be surprised.
I was waiting for that one.
Man, I mean, they're gonna put 60,000 people in that place.
It's possible. Look, I got to give my hats off to Paul. He's like really he's taken off with the promotion. Like he's really figured out a way to monetize his fame in a strange way by fighting older fighters and bringing them himself along as a boxer. It's really interesting.
I'll be at Kimmel's watching with everybody. All right, what else?
Next up in the news, journalist Martha Stewart said was dead now. Thank goodness. Hits back. I'm alive, bitch. Yeah. Martha Stewart, which I watched the documentary at your behest. And it gave me a whole new perspective on Martha Stewart. I totally get it, but this journalist thought she was dead, and she said she's very much alive.
All right, many thoughts. One is, like, people going to prison for shit I would definitely do is always insane to me. Do you know a person who, if they got a call, now they didn't blow a call in, they got a call, and somebody just said, hey, you know that company you got 45 grand invested in, I just found out that the FDA is not going to okay their product, their weight loss product, and it's going to happen next week. Who amongst us would not go, oh, well, thank you, let's sell that stock? Mm-hmm. Who do you know who wouldn't do that? Like, I feel that's all Congress does. Is that? That's all Nancy Pelosi does.
Am I wrong or am I right that Congress is allowed to inside trade? Or to me, it's a weird thing where you can't trade on inside knowledge. But what the hell? Then what do you trade on? I don't get it.
Here's what I'm going to say. What they try to do is Congress is aware of this stuff in advance. So really what it should be is you can't be involved with the stock market. But the thing is you can be involved with the stock market. You just can't use this information. But who amongst us would not use this information? Yeah. I would also look at it like, I'm not exactly hurting anybody. I got this info, so I would sell it.
It's because you benefit more than the average citizen?
Yeah, whatever it is. It's also it's a sense of propriety. What they do is they take down high-profile people like this so they can say, you see, the system works. And by the way, do not worry about what Congress is doing when they're doing the same thing Martha Stewart is doing. But the notion that we had to get her off the street is insane. But also the fact that she explained that she was glad this bitch was dead, which I'm totally for. Tom Shales wrote the worst review of me as not only an artist, but as a human being. I mean, Tom Shales, he wrote a review about me. He was a syndicated, very well-known, award-winning scrutineer of people's work. And when he died, I thought to myself, okay, well, there you go.
A movie critic? Or I don't get it.
He was
Radio?
a culture. Tom Shales was an award-winning movie, TV, and whatever critic who reviewed The Man Show and didn't like it. And then somewhere in the middle of the Man Show review veered off into an Adam Carolla review where he started also hating on Loveline, and then kept going to the point where I was too ugly to be on TV and a piece of junk. And so he started reviewing The Man Show, left Jimmy and The Man Show behind, moved on to Loveline, then moved on to just me personally, and just kept going.
Obsessed.
I was amused by it.
Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment.
But as anybody who's been on the wrong end of a vitriolic review, when the person meets their demise, there's a little part of you that goes, all right, well, there you go.
Touchdown dance?
A miniature.
The little ray gun maneuver.
Little ray gun maneuver. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's alive, so, we can...
Right, he said she was dead, and she was glad, which made me like her.
Yeah.
I mean, Martha.
Yeah. No, Martha, I like her and respect her. Like, the thing that you always talk about, how if someone's openly an asshole, then it's great. There's no love lost there.
She
Martha
owns
Stewart.
it.
Next up, New York City's ending the voucher program that allowed migrant families to buy their own food.
Yes.
NYC ending a debit card program for migrants. It's over. They're no longer issue the vouchers for migrants to pay for food, and a controversial program that had repeatedly come under attack by conservatives and others. The thing about this was that a lot of the city-funded hotels, they would give them food boxes that they wouldn't eat. So it was a very wasteful thing. And somehow this card thing saved the city money, because instead of just giving them junk that they won't eat, they would pay for their own beans and rice.
Nothing works and nothing free works, and it always turns to shit. And I think we're just learning that now. There's just nothing you can hand people that ever really works. It works some of the time for a period of time, but I mean, I talk to people that are homeless. They get their EBT card, then they take the card and they sell it to the gangs, and then the gangs use it to buy Jack in the Box. It's like there's always a grift.
Yeah, humans do that.
They grift like almost immediately. Now, they grift at the high end, the Martha Stewart end. They grift at the homeless end. They grift at the migrant encampment end. Like all human beings do is take advantage of systems and loopholes. That's all they do, and that's why it never works. It's good. It's good in theory. It just never really. You can't apply it.
Shouldn't we like factor that into anything that we do? Is like, somebody's probably going to grip this.
What we do is we have an endless cycle of what are we going to do? Well, the prisons have too many black men in it. And we go, all right, well, stop arresting black men. I go, all right, let's get a DA who'll do that. Okay, Gascon, get in here and do that. And then he does it, and then it's a shit show. And then a few years goes by, and then we go, I think we should get back to arresting black men. And then we get back to it.
Yeah.
And we try something, it doesn't work. It's like, that's all. It's an endless cycle of shit that doesn't work. We just had a thing in Los Angeles and in California. It was a Newsom thing. All right. We are saying to productions, hey, stop fleeing and going to New Mexico, Prague, Canada, Atlanta. Stop leaving. We are no longer wanting to gouge you. We are going to give you incentives to stay here and do your production. So what happens is we go, what if we tax the shit out of this production company so we'll get more money? And they go, all right, that's a good idea. But then the production company goes, fuck that, we're going to New Mexico, where they don't do that to us. And then they do it, and then we have to reverse what we did. We do it with crime. We do it with the voucher stuff. We'll do it with taxing production. We'll do everything.
Yeah.
All right. A legend, Rickson Gracie of the Gracie family. You know.
Yeah.
You're a fan.
I am.
We'll take a quick break. He's got a book. He's zooming in. And we'll do that right after this. Chime. Well, we all have that moment when it hits us. We need to get our finances in order. I think about that a lot, and I'm personally working on it myself. Take control of your finances with a Chime checking account. No maintenance fees, free overdraft, up to $200. Get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Learn more at chime.com/Adam. Chime has spotted members 30 billion plus. Friends can give friends a boost that way. You're not going to learn all this stuff at school. You got to do it with Chime. They're going to help you. After qualifying direct deposit of $200 plus, Chime will notify you to enroll you in Spot Me. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance. Your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance. That's all Chime. Am I right, Dawson?
Make your fall finances a little greener by working toward your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/Adam. That's chime.com/Adam. Chime feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. They offer friendly, helpful service and parts and knowledge that you need to maintain all the repairs and keep your car running smoothly. I've always been a fan of O'Reilly. I remember when I lived up in La Crescenta in my rented house with all my roommates, and I'd work on my Isuzu Trooper, and then later on my Toyota Supra. And I would go up to the O'Reilly up on Foothill. And that's where I got all my know-how and I got all my parts. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in the store or online, so you're never in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free, and they'll do it in or out of your car, so you can bring it in, or you don't have to pull it out of your car. They'll come out and do it in the parking lot. Need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fix, quick service? They'll help you find the right part, or they'll point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. So whether you're a car aficionado or you're a novice, you get with O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're knowledgeable, they're helpful, and best of all, they are friendly, and you can do it online or you can go in. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit them at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Spaceman Eddie from California. Now that we won't have to listen to a word salad inauguration speech by Kamala, I'm just wondering, are you questioning your atheism just a little bit today? Just a little. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Yes, I'm now agnostic. Rickson Gracie of the Gracie Fighting Legends is joining us. The book, Comfort in Darkness, The Invisible Power of Jiu-Jitsu. So many bites, 9th degree black belt, so I'm reading here. Good to see you, Rickson.
Great to see you, Adam.
I'm looking down and seeing here that you had 465 fights and were undefeated. Is that a typo or is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's mixing all my events, including mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, sambo, some freestyle wrestling in Brazil, and also some jiu-jitsu competitions.
465 and 0. Kind of it eclipses it, but you think of guys like Benny the Jet Urquidez.
Yeah.
Guys like that who had these like crazy records. I mean, kickboxing, different sport, but some used in mixed martial arts as well. How did the whole Gracie thing begin?
Oh, our family was introduced to jiu-jitsu by a fellow coming from Japan. He's a champion in jiu-jitsu, coming from Japan to Brazil, to be the management for the immigration process. His name is Conde Maeda Coma. And he became friends of my grandfather. And then he invite my grandfather's sons to enjoy the class. So that's where the family got introduced to jiu-jitsu. And since then, we just fall in love about the jiu-jitsu art. And we all follow up the tradition.
Is there pressure? Is there like one Gracie who just wants to write poetry and doesn't want to do it? And could he pull? I mean, were you like, is it in your blood, or is there like a thing like your dad? You're a Gracie. You're doing this, son.
Yeah, when we born a Gracie, we get the kimono before the diapers.
All right.
So, and we grow in an environment where people say, oh, you're going to be a champion like your dad. Oh, you're a fighter. So you become accustomed to use the gi, to spar, to confront, to play. And of course, some are more capable than others. So the ones who are having more potential on the mat, they are kind of more pushing to competition. The other ones are more mellow or not as coordinated. They not feel like frustrated, but they not just on top of the food, on top of the chain, So they are a little put aside. But the ones who has the potential to become fighters, we are treated like champions from very early age and take care of our needs in terms of psychological needs, emotional, physical. So we're trying to be champions in a very early age.
I could remember seeing the very early iterations of UFC before they had rules or even knew what to do back then with the weight class. They didn't have weight classes at the beginning, did they?
No.
They had, and guys fighting in gis, Gracie's fighting in gis, I saw a guy grab a guy had a ponytail. The guy just grabbed on it like a handle, just never let go, which I love because I hate a guy with a ponytail. And he kept like mashing his knee into the guy's forehead. He wouldn't let go of the guy's head.
Yeah.
It was like, it's a handle.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I mean, it's crazy to do it now, but it had to be real Wild West back in the day.
Yeah, the time when I start planning to represent the family, I was visualizing the fight without no rules, no weight division, no time limits. Can be on the mat, can be on the asphalt, on the concrete. So it was very wild at the time. The possibilities are kind of endless. So the preparation for something like that has to be more than just physical or technical. It has also to be emotional, spiritual, to make you complete, ready for the task.
Yeah, who do you, Mayhem Miller's here, by the way. He's a huge fan, obviously, MMA fighter and influence. Like, I think, I don't know, every guitar player would be influenced by Jimi Hendrix.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Every jiu-jitsu
Well,
artist,
this is like a huge moment for me, like, because like I'm here with like my legendary broadcaster. Like, I always looked up to you on the radio the whole time.
Really?
Yeah, and then Rickson Gracie right across from me, where my mind is blown right now, and I'm over here bubbling. So excuse me for fanboying out a little bit with you guys. But I wanted to ask in those early days, because I always say my era, I watched you growing up and like, kind of learned from you and this breath control. And I remember the movie Choke. It came out. It was very instrumental for us martial artists in America. But how about, those early days where the styles weren't very mixed? And I know there was a big competition between the Lucha Libre, I guess, or Luta Libre in the Gracie family in Brazil, where you guys, they were more strikers and you were more grapplers. Can you tell us about that era?
Yes, it was because Brazilians are very much hot blood. And even though we get the information, the traditional martial arts information, ends up by we trying everything we get on the beach or any kind of arguments on the street. So I think you better. So let's go down. So the idea of fighting is very common in Brazil. And then the jiu-jitsu start to represent art. And for us to get the trust of others and ourselves to believe in what we do, we have an open challenge for anyone, anytime, try to come and challenge us to represent jiu-jitsu. So it was an open challenge 24/7. And that's kind of pretty much give us like the sense where the preparation for something like that cannot be only physical or technical, it has to be emotional and spiritual. That's why in my early age, I started creating a huge interest about breathing, about meditation, about self-control, about visualization, strategy. I believe those tools can help also not only the warrior, but can also very much help the spiritual warrior. So I started creating elements to enhance my possibilities against such unpredictable opponents and tough guys. So it has to be a complete learning process.
Yeah, I used to teach boxing, and I used to notice that guys who are in phenomenal shape would be immediately winded when they sparred for a couple of minutes. Guys that did triathletes and stuff, because they were expending so much energy in their head and so much, the adrenaline dump was amazing. And it was guys in phenomenal athletes versus some of these guys. Like you see a guy like James Toney fight. The guy's 50 pounds overweight. He's standing there, but he's barely moving because in his mind, this isn't a big deal.
Efficiency.
And so I used to tell everyone, I would tell my students, I'd go, look, pretend you fell off the back of a cruise ship. You got to make it to the shore. The shore's 8 miles away. You start going nuts, you just drown immediately. The only way to do this is to breathe and get even and get calm. Otherwise, you're drowned. If you flail, that's you drowning, smooth and efficient. Now, but it's one thing to tell somebody that, and it's another thing to have them execute it, which is much harder when they get into the ring.
Definitely. I feel like learning how to breathe is already a huge advantage, but learning how to breathe to favor your activity is even better. You see tennis players today, they breathe A, E, A, E, because they find the perfect rhythm. So even though you can be in a top shape, if you don't have the rhythm of the fight, don't have the rhythm of the tennis, you're not going to breathe harmonious with the motion. And that will make you disconnect with the recovery, and you feel like exhausted in no time. So learning how to breathe is important. Learning how to breathe and educate yourself to move with the motions you are required for, because I'm very efficient in my breathing with my diaphragm. But my surf breathing is different than my fighting breathing, is different than my recovery breathing, is different than my relaxed breathing to sleep. So I have different ways to help myself to achieve what I want through breathing. And some people, they have a top shape, but they don't know how to breathe well accordingly with the task. So they pass hard times sometimes.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of Wim Hof's thing. I don't know if you've studied him, but the guy does the polar plunges.
Oh, yeah.
He does all the breathing.
I have like, you mentioned the documentary Choke.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a cold showers and the rivers in Japan on the snow was part of my practice to educate my emotional, to feel calm under pressure.
That's interesting. Yeah, the cold, I've been doing it for a while. It's mostly for your head. Everyone talks about joints and inflammation and everything else. It's all for your head. It's all for the head. That's the part.
Something very interesting about that is when you plunge yourself in the cold with the head out, you feel discomfortable, but you feel like it's a possible discomfort. Try to do with a snorkel and dive yourself and start to breathe under the water. And then you feel your brain burns. And that's where you need to feel like be calm and breathing, a relaxed breathing to bring yourself under control. And soon you get the calmness under that situation, it's time to leave, because if you stay too long, you may die.
Yeah, hypothermia. I'll tell you the weird thing about being in the cold is your body is working so hard to find heat somewhere, to manufacture some heat that you'll feel if you lift your arm. You got a little warmth under, and you lift just your arm up, you'll feel the cold. Or you take your knee that was bent and open your leg, you'll feel it under your knee. Like your body is trying to find any warmth it can create anywhere. And it actually gets more painful if you just sat there holding your shoulders in and your knees bent, and then you open yourself up. It's a next level of pain.
Yes.
So what is this new book about? Is there some new chapter you're unfolding here with the Gracie legacy here?
No, the first book was my biography with my life story and things happened with me.
Yeah.
And the second book is how to handle discomfortables in life. Like for now, in 2021, I've been diagnosed with Parkinson. And for me, quit is not an option. For me, just obey what the doctor said for me also is not an option. He gave me medicine. He told me to do exercise and wait. And I'm seeking for different opinions, different doctors, different healers. And I changed my life completely from A to Z, from the fasting to not eating meat, red meat, stop completely drinking beer or alcohol. Start taking a lot of supplements, some mushrooms from somewhere, and some other healing process. So I've been taking advantage of every element I can do to get my best. Because in my mind, my intention is to beat Parkinson, not to be defeated by it. Quit is not an option. So for me, it's just another opponent where I have to use the invisible tools of the spiritual warrior. I have to have hope. I have to have visualization. I have to have strategy. I have to have faith. I have to have acceptance. So this book shows how you can sometimes fight for win, or maybe sometimes win without a fight, because it's a matter of options, it's a matter of choices, it's a matter of purpose. And then in the second book, I show more how I think to handle my personal situations, my problems, and how to feel happy and grateful and thankful, and with much more things to be thankful about it than complain. So the second book is an inspiring book for people who may have any kind of emotional, physical, or any traumatic problem.
You brought up at the beginning the avoidance of pain or discomfort that I've been thinking about a lot, which I feel is a real problem in our society. You know, everyone ordering Grubhub and not making their own food or not washing their own car, just not doing the things we used to do, all in the name of avoiding something they didn't want to do. And I haven't really zeroed in on it, but I keep going back to this. You got to invite some pain and some adversity and some challenge. You got to install it in your life. It doesn't exist. There's air conditioning everywhere. There's hot water coming out of every pipe. There's food everywhere. You're going to have to start finding discomfort. You know, much like we don't walk to the river 3 miles every day, so someone invented a treadmill to simulate that. But we need some adversity, people, and stop avoiding everything. And I find myself telling that to people all the time, and they go, "What's wrong with the little luxury?" You know, and I go, you should do it yourself. You should go do this yourself, you know. And they go, "Oh, get someone else to do it, you know, call Grubhub and TaskRabbit and let the guy come and do it." And it's a problem, and I don't like it, and I feel like the people that I know who are successful invite a little of that adversity into their own life, like the cold plunge. It's not there for your joints, it's there for your brain.
Yes, I 100% agree with you, and I think, you know, because people take for granted the life itself, and I feel the humanity being dehumanized by technology, by internet, by robotics, makes too easy for the human being to live virtually and not be living the now. I feel like when I practice jiu-jitsu, if I have anything in my mind, which is not exactly the moves I planning to do and what the guy wants to do with me, my counters, if I live that kind of moment, I will be defeated, I will make mistakes. So keep me on the now is very important. But also what is very important, because people become dehumanized, is just the feeling of shaking the hand. Some people, they lost the ability to shake the hands, to look in the eye, to talk with a girl, to make a buy or sale in person. So they losing the ability to connect. And I feel like that's a devastating thing, because keep you out of the ability to be alive and sensitive. You start to using less your senses, you know. And for you, in order for you to capitalize on that and grow, you have to go back to your interior. You have to start to feel how you feel mentally, spiritually, and physically. Breathing make you connect, because the lung has the capacity to connect with your brain and your heart. And your brain and your heart are the only organs in your body who can give and receive information. So with that connection, if you get stressed by an email, immediately if you get a relaxed breathing protocol, you're going to feel shocked by the email. Oh, how the hell this happened? You start to breathe. You're able to control your emotions, your lung, your heart rate. You still have the problem, but the problem doesn't affect you. If you don't know how to clean your system, you can stick with the problem during the night, the next day, wake up emotionally disturbed, So stress, disappointments, frustration, anxiety, all those can be completely fixed by the breathing protocols.
What do you think about all these weight loss drugs now, Mounjaro and Ozempic and all that? I worry about the residual effects, not the side effects of the drug, the mental side effects of taking a shot instead of diet, exercise, work, what you guys would have to do to cut weight, and just the discipline that's involved with every day trying to shed pounds and not put on weight. I worry about the emotional, mental part of all these drugs, not the physical part.
I agree. When you try to add some kind of protocol which is unnatural, you either become dependent or you become like unsatisfied because this is not going to do for you. I recommend for anyone in any age, any time, start to thinking about the purpose in life. Because when you decide to have a purpose, when you decide to go in a road for any reason, you start to become more capable to use discipline, to use strategy, to use commitment, to use willpower, to use courage in order to support your endeavor. But if you don't have purpose, you basically, okay, I need to lose weight. But your purpose is not in there. It's just like something for you to look good in the Instagram. So that's that way you become like part of a movement which you're not fully integrated with, fully connected. So it's just an idea which becomes shallow. So more you desire to have something, more you have to inflict this in your core, making a purpose, and then putting discipline, putting all the elements you need to achieve that in a way you feel proud about it. So leave the superficial things and go in the deep stuff in your mind, in your brain, in your capacity to make changes, and you will.
Well, I think now we have to make a concerted effort to fight for this stuff, which is, in the past, it was just life. You had to get up, you had movement, you had exercise, you had tasks. These things were baked in and built into everyday life. You sweated because you had to go build things and make things or hunt. It depends how far back you want, but everybody had stuff to do all day, every day. Otherwise, you would starve and you wouldn't exist, or the winter would come in and you wouldn't have enough meat salted away. Well, all the metaphors. But I'm saying you had to do it. Now there's Ozempic, and you can sit home and still get paid. You don't have to go into work. I mean, during COVID, the government will cut you a check not to work. And so it's all out there. It's all bad, and it's all tempting. Fast food is open 24/7 now. When I grew up, everything was closed on Sunday. You couldn't eat fast food on a Sunday because everything was closed. It's now 24/7. You got porn on your phone. You got Jack in the Box open till 4 a.m. You got free money from the government. It's all there. And if you get too fat, you can get your Ozempic shot. Now we're going to have to create the gravity. You're going to have to impose this on yourself. You're going to have to find it, and you're going to have to live in it, because it is all there for the taking. And every bad impulse you have as a human being, you can now indulge, and you'll do it judgment-free. No, we live in a society that doesn't really judge anymore.
Well, successful guys like Adam Carolla or like a Rickson Gracie, legendary people, go beyond that and force themselves to suffer.
Yeah, I'm not as I don't have the discipline Rickson has, but what I'm saying is I washed my car this weekend in my driveway because I think you're supposed to do those kinds of things. Yeah. It wasn't to save $26. It was to wash my car as an activity.
Yeah.
Well, Rickson, there's been a huge influx of new jiu-jitsu students, in large part thanks to you and your family. What is your strategy or some advice you could give to the white belts, the blue belts out there who are just starting their jiu-jitsu journey? Like, what would you tell those beginners?
What I say is what I believe. Jiu-jitsu has been growing a lot, like you said, and I agree with that. But the sportive side of jiu-jitsu has been growing much more than the self-defense aspect of jiu-jitsu. And the sports side of jiu-jitsu make you tough, make you a good athlete, but doesn't give you the martial arts understanding for you to add to your life. Self-defense, differently, coming with situations which not coming from another fighter, coming from an aggressor. In self-defense, the aggressor is coming to stab you, to use a club against you, try to throw you a chair, maybe two opponents trying to beat you. So it's unpredictable situations. We start to creating some kind of taking the stage because you start to see somebody with a knife in front of you. Of course, you don't want to get stabbed. You don't want to get in a situation like that. But if you practice against somebody with a knife, you start to creating some kind of anticipation, some kind of malice, some kind of strategy, which going to really become more comfortable in real life situations than you just passing a guard of somebody in a tournament with rules, with judge. So my advice for the people who start to understand jiu-jitsu and start to get involved with the sport is for them to get the maximum of it, try to learn also self-defense moves. Because that will create a situation which can be related to the street. And that's take the relation to life. Because when you start to understand jiu-jitsu conceptually, for example, timing can be the concept appreciated to deflect a punch from a punch. But timing is also the timing you have to talk with your wife about something important. Or talk with your boss about getting salary. So timing to get in the airplane, timing to talk with somebody about some subject. So timing is a metaphor for life. You can apply timing in many ways. Connection is the same thing. You can connect to throw somebody, you can connect to keep your base, but also you can connect to shake hands and feel, oh, I don't like this guy. His energy is not good. I feel like bad energy. Or you get into a place and you say, wow, this place is dark. I just see bad people, bad energy. So the connection becomes a metaphor for life. When you start to understand connection as a concept, you either connect with somebody or either you keep the distance. But all this comes in a martial arts way, not exactly in a sportive way. So jiu-jitsu is much bigger than the sport aspect of it.
Wow, that was a unexpected, powerful, yet pragmatic answer, and a good note to go out on. The book, Comfort in Darkness, The Invisible Power of Jiu-Jitsu. It's available as we speak on all finer bookstores. Should I give your website out? I will do that. It is Rickson Gracie, GRACIE.com for anything related to Rickson. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate my brother.
God bless.
Hope to see you on the mat someday.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I'll be on my back.
For everything you've done for our sport, man. Thank you very much,
My
sir.
pleasure, my brother. God bless.
God bless.
Take care.
Thanks, Rickson. All right. Fitzsimmons, you can check out his special, You Know Me, on YouTube. Very funny. Manuka honey, I had some the other day.
Yeah.
Put it in some cottage cheese.
SamUmanuka.com/mayhem.
Felt good about myself. Until next time, Sam for Rickson and Greg and Mayhem saying mahalo.